So today I am making a little video review of the Pilot brand Frixion stampers. I haven't made a video for a little while because I was sick and then I was out of town for about a week and a half, but I'm catching up on some stuff now. So I've had these for a little while and I've had a chance to use them and get some opinions on them, so I thought I would share that because they are so cute. I know a lot of people who do planners and calendars and scrapbooks are interested in them. I purchased these from Tokyo Pen Shop. Actually, I purchased all of them but that one from Tokyo Pen Shop. These I got through Tokyo Pen Shop. This one I bought on Etsy because Tokyo Pen Shop didn't have the little stream face in stock and I thought it was so cute. I highly recommend Tokyo Pen Shop. They are absolutely wonderful to deal with. They've got a great selection and they're just really, really nice, friendly people. I like Jet Pens as well. I'm not sure if Jet Pens carries these. They may, but I got these from Tokyo Pen Shop. So these are an all-in-one stamper, and the idea with these is that they are they have erasable ink. It's actually a temperature sensitive ink is how it works. And if you've ever used the Pilot brand Frixion pen sets, it works on the same principle. I've actually never used those myself, but the stampers work that way. I'll show you. So you've got a basic little all-in-one stamper and the ink reservoir is up here. So it's a little bit different than some all-in-one stampers that have the ink in the cap, you know, where you basically, it's like a stamper pad in the cap and you would touch that in there and then be able to stamp. With this one, the ink comes down from the top through the stamper. And one of the things that I've wondered about with these, and now that I have them, I think I know the answer, but if anyone else has a different experience, please tell me. I had wondered looking at these online if they were reusable, if when you used up the ink in the ink reservoir, if you would be able to use them with a standard stamp pad. And now having some to look at and use here at home, I kind of feel that they probably are not compatible with a regular stamper, because if you can see on the video there, that reflection, they're kind of interesting in that shiny surface you see there is like a plastic, like a shiny mask that keeps the ink from coming down in those negative spaces of the design. Because if you'll look at it, compared to regular rubber stampers, these are very shallow. The design is very, very shallow, and I think it's just that kind of stencil barrier with the shiny plastic that keeps the ink from going all over the place. So if you were using with a regular stamper, my suspicion is that they would not work, that they're not deep enough to give you a clear design. But if anyone else has tried that and has experience with it, I'd love to hear it. So it's got a little face, see? And it takes a little practice to get a good design with them. You have to kind of hit them straight up and down and quick from what I've seen, like that. And see, you can get it like that. If you push too hard, if you leave it for too long, they kind of blurp together. The ink kind of runs. And I think it is because these are sort of a spongy surface. And then what you can do, this rubbery edge around the design, that is your eraser. And I said it was temperature sensitive. How I understand that it works is that it's actually, unlike other erasers where you're rubbing off like a top section of the paper almost, these actually work by the friction building up warmth that makes the ink disappear. So it takes a couple seconds after you start erasing to build up enough warmth to see that happen. But they do work, and I'm actually kind of impressed. I was surprised at how well they do erase. I didn't expect the erasing feature to work that well, but it does, as you can see. See a faint little trace of it there, but really the erasing is pretty impressive. So the other thing they tell you, because of that thermosensitive ink, is that if you're using these on your planner books or your calendars, don't leave them somewhere like in a hot car or in a bag that you've left out in the sun, because the ink will actually disappear just from the temperature in your notebooks. For a review of these, I found that I've got the pink, the orange, and the blue here, and I have found that the blue probably works the best. The pink is close to the blue. I'm a little disappointed with the orange ones, especially with this little yoga man I got. I'd hoped to put this on my calendar when I have yoga classes, but as you can see, it works pretty well. The design is a little bit harder to see just because it's so small and it's kind of so fine, but if you know what it is, you can tell it's a little yoga guy. But that brings me to the second part of my review of these. I'm finding, as I use my Hobonichi Techo, that when it comes to things like pens and stampers and stuff like that, you almost have to do 2 reviews of everything, because this Tomoe River paper is so unique in its texture and in the way it takes different inks and takes different mediums, that what works one way on regular printer paper, which this is just, you know, basic printer paper from Target, you don't always get the same result on the Hobonichi Techo. And I had gotten a little bit of a heads up with this online. I know at least one other reviewer had mentioned that the Frixion stampers don't work well in the Hobonichi, although they do sell them on Hobonichi's website. So I had a little bit of a heads up that they didn't work so great in here, and unfortunately that has kind of been my experience, which is a shame because they are so cute and they're so portable. You know, you kind of want to throw them in your bag, and if you adjust your calendar on the go or you're using different stamps for different kinds of appointments or events, it would be nice to be able to just put them in your Techo if you use a Hobonichi and go, but it's not quite that simple. I'll show you. I don't know if you can see it clearly on here. You can't really see it quite as clearly, but for one thing, the properties that make the Tomoe River paper so wonderful for watercolors and for fountain pens and inks like that, those are also the properties that make these stampers not work quite so great, because they don't soak into the paper the way they do on conventional paper. They kind of sit on top, and if you can see, like I'll do another one of those, you can actually, the ink rubs right off on your finger. I'll do it with a blue one. Let's see it a little more clearly. Oh, I stamped upside down. So if I put a little stamper there, and as you can see, and even that one, which I did, you know, a minute ago, they smear right off on the Tomoe River paper. Now, they will dry. It takes a few minutes, but if you use them on there, they will eventually dry. You can see some here I did a while ago, and they're good and solid on there. But it means that if you are planning to use these in your Hobonichi Techo on the river paper, the Tomoe River paper, you're not going to be able to just edit your calendar with them and then close the book up and leave it. They're going to need a little time to dry, just like if you were writing an entry in fountain pen or doing some watercolor in here or something, which, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose of them being such a cute little portable all-in-one thing. But if you like them and you want to use them in your calendar, you would just have to go through and do that and then let it sit and let it dry. The other thing you can do, and I actually, before I started videoing, I should have grabbed one, but if you have a little tiny corner of like a Kleenex or a tissue or even the tiny little piece of paper towel, you can blot them. You know, you can make your stamp and then kind of just very, very gently, you can't rub it, but you could just very gently blot the ink, and that really does help it to dry. I found that that works very well with the pink and the blue, but unfortunately with the orange, if you do that, it lifts too much of the ink, and the orange ink really becomes almost invisible. So I think it's a shame with these that the designs, specific designs, come in specific colors. Like the little yoga guy is only available in orange from what I can see. Like the little, you know, the little girl face with the ponytail here is only available in pink. So you can't get, like, I would love to be able to get the little yoga man in a darker color, get him in the red or the pink or the blue. But as far as I know, he only comes in the orange. And I do have a coffee cup one in orange upstairs too, which goes a little bit better because it's a slightly more solid design than that, so it shows up a little bit. This is a little baby face, and that one really kind of, it's hard to see, but it did kind of blurp on the page because of the way the it doesn't soak in. Yeah, it's much clearer on the conventional paper. But anyway, I am glad. I do like these, but I'm very glad that I bought a little handful of them and experimented with them on the Hobonichi before I went out, and I was so tempted by some of those sets you see that have all the designs. You can buy sets of like 30 or 40 of these, and I'm glad I wasn't tempted and I didn't get one of those, because I think I would have been disappointed if I had bought that many and spent all that money and not really be able to use them easily in my calendar book. But still, they're pretty neat, and depending on where you get them, they're not overly expensive. From Tokyo Pen Shop, I think they were like $2 each or something like that. So if you pick out a couple designs that you like or that you think you'll use a lot, they're a fun little purchase. Like I said earlier, the only other thing is that, as far as I can tell, they do have to be disposable. You're not going to be able to reuse them once the ink dries out because of the design of that stamp surface. They're not, as far as I can tell, they wouldn't work well just using them in a conventional stamp pad. But again, if you have had a different experience, if anybody out there has tried them in a conventional stamp pad and found that they works, I would love to hear about it. All right, so thanks a lot. Bye-bye.